Welcome back to Consciousness Explained series. This is Shiva. Today we are going to see an open secret state. It is a world history riddle novel which is in a different format than our usual stuff. This story is partly fiction and partly real. The characters in this story are made up as personified characters from real people, trend or concepts or time period. Story revolves around a secret code which is made up of 13 characters. The secret code is fairly important. The secret code is the origin of everything. By realizing the full potential, a person can become one with universal mind, which is responsible for creation. And it also answers life's nagging, puzzling questions. Story is broken up into different parts of the state, and there are 5 different regions and few families that live in those regions. The story begins with 3 cousin sisters and how the families are handling the secret code. The characters are not human characters. They have a lifespan, and some of those characters still continue to live even today. Why is it called open secret? Because the secret code is accessible to everyone. The riddle part of this novel is to find out the characters from the formed names, and this video is broken up into different parts, each covering certain areas, and also you can watch them in entirety as a single video as well. The answers to the riddle is provided in a separate video that can be checked with your answers. Enjoy the story. Before I start, some of the legend. The blue color indicates male characters. The pink color indicates female characters, and the bold font, stronger influence. And red color indicates bad quality, violence. Red cross, X mark indicates killed. Those with blue circle on the top indicates the native origin. And the secret code awareness is indicated either with asterisk, that means they are aware of the technique, and those with question mark is either partial or not known. There are relationships that get formed, and that relationships indicated by orange lines, and the vertical lines that indicates the family line. The green arrow dotted line indicates the relocation or the movement. Red arrow indicates the fight between 2 sets of people or characters. The orange color dotted line indicates is a relationship, either business relationship or dependent relationship. The gray arrows indicate the control, one influences on another. Let's begin with the story. The west side, the terrain is cold weather with access to waterways, mostly meat eaters with limited vegetation. The main character is Christy. As we said, she's the middle one of the 3 cousin sisters. She's wise, good at heart, ambitious, well-mannered, and she has a diary of her father that contains the secret code technique. Her dad was killed by her older cousin Judy's family. From that time onwards, both of them do not get along. Christy's family and Judy's family have constant enmity. Christy moves out, and around that time Judy's husband Iser dies, and Christy goes to the west side and gets married to MP. MP is a fair-skinned, good-looking, dominant, want to expand and control the state. And their marriage complement each other, strengths and weaknesses, and want to control the whole state. Their first child, Pappy, is authoritative, literal, hierarchical, controls the secret code diary, and rewrites some of the enigmatic text to suit his position. The next one, Baisi, is very powerful, expands the domain of control as his father wished, and have enmity with his younger aunt Isli, She is newly married in a family with the Gulfi, and they had constant power struggle between them. The Cruci is the next one under Papi and Baizi's command, fights with Isli's family constantly and kill people who do not agree with them, and kill to expand the control by bringing several people into Christie's family. Wilnar is most progressive, methodical child. His successor, Call MP, help achieve MP Christie's dream. Incuvi is the closest buddy of Cruci. He's dogmatic, ruthless, makes new entrants to obey Christie's ways. If not, they get killed. Neighboring native families called Paggi gets converted to Christie's ways as well. Then we have set of children here: Gallo, Shapi, Prali, and Kalempi, Stemi, and Reni. All these group of children, they are close to each other from the timeline perspective. Gallo is the inquisitive child, challenges long-held notions of Christie. It basically upsets Papi's and Incuvi's authority and position, and they end up killing Gallo. And their father MP resented it. All the children that was born around Gallo's time also got so upset with Gallo's killing. So they disliked, all of them disliked Papi and Incuvi's authority. Shapi is the unique character, a wise poet, influenced all future generations, well regarded. Prali is the most cunning person in the family. She's very sophisticated, but very similar to Incuvi and Cruci, has similar objectives, but less aggressive. She lures others to change their ways to Christie by whatever means it takes. Works closely with her brother Kalempi to take control of all the entire state into Christie's ways. Kalempi is very powerful, well-armed, modern person, supported by close siblings Prali, Stemi, and Capi. He is very successful. He encroaches the native Redis family and also native Soamis family in the large landscape west of this mainland. Enslaves Afri's family that are in between West and Middle East portion, and controls the weakened Sindhu family as well. Stemi next to Kalempi, and they are more close buddies. And Stemi is very innovative and scientific, build machines, tools, very influential, is against beliefs, seeing Gallo's killing disillusioned by Christie's ways, and dislikes Papi's authority. And also importantly, he cracks part of the secret code, and thereby he takes up the teaching role from Papi. And Stemi is, along with Kalempi, ends up teaching the entire state with his ideas. Reni is the artistic child, flourished in paintings, music, free expressionist, disliked Papi's authority. There are twin brothers, Capi and Kami. Both of them are powerful and diametrically opposite in their ideologies. Capi controls all the finances of MP family, and his idea is give freedom to try and compete within the family, and it engenders innovation and very close buddy to Stemi. And on the other hand, Kami has lofty ideal, but it's impractical. He basically wants to redistribute the earnings of everybody equally among the family members. Does not realize that it kills innovation and encourages lethargy. And Kami dislikes Christie and Papi. That's the similar kind as Capi. So Cappy gets married to an orphan woman called Afri with a bewitching beauty. She's a freedom lover, dislikes authority and control, and set her own manners. And similarly, Stemi marries another orphan woman called Agni. She's very attractive, free thinker, also show me type, doesn't believe anything by faith. Both of these Stemi, Agni, and Cappy, Sepfree create a new family line. So at this point, Christie's influence and Pappy's and Inquis influence really comes to halt. And the MP's Christie's marriage is almost separated. But they are not divorced, they are interdependent. Christie needs MP's and MP's children's finances to continue in her way. And similarly, MP wants Christie's ways as far as the manners and social customs goes. But predominantly, they form a separate line, and that separate, the children of Stemi and Cappy form this family line away from Christie. And similarly, Kami follows, also branches out into his own separate branch line. Both Cappy's and Kami's family lines do not like each other. Now, the children of Stemi and Cappy together, called Usamis, and they are the most powerful in that line, and they move out from their the core homeland in the west side to the newly acquired landscape in Reddy's area. This Usamis also, with Kalampi's acquisition from Afri's family, new entrants came down from Afri's family called Afslavi. They also settled down in Usamis area, and that led to this child Racy. She is discriminatory. She has genes of bad Inkui and discriminated against newly arrived Afslavi people. It created fights among Usamis to control over Afslavi. We have another child, problem child, Mafi. He is in the main homeland, and unruly, violent, has no values except money, extorts money from their own wealthy family members, and have affairs with Kami people as well. Now let's cover the Kami's branch. So Kami and Irusi get married, and she is very close to Christie's ways, but slightly different customs. She also dislikes Pappy's authority. And the first child is Leilin, and he's a dad's child, and has an affair with a bad orphan woman, Tyra, that basically leads to the downfall of Leilin. Tyra is a bad tyrant orphan woman. She has affairs with multiple people. And the second child is Kamasia. She flees to the east side to marry a powerful Chikam. And the third child is Soshi, who is a stillborn child. This is the last child of Kami Urusi. Her appearance looked exactly like Kami desired, but she was stillborn. Already incompatible with his ideas, and Kami ends up killing Urusi. Leelin's first daughter is Speteki. She is most intelligent child, traveled to outer space for the first time, and starts a challenging race with Usamis. And that leads to the birth of Koldi, and she ends up garnering support from friends everywhere and around the state, and she divides the entire state into two parts, either pro-Kamis or pro-Usamis. In between, there is another, the most violent child who was born by name Nahi, having affair with Tyra, and he not only kills outsiders, he kills his own people, and he kills almost all of the Judy's family who was living in the west side, and he also tries to take over the power from Cappy and Usamis. He finds a friendship with Far East tyrant by name Impjap, and they both end up having a child of called Wavi, and that creates massive conflict across the state. And all of them, luckily, thankfully, get killed by the ingenuity of Usamis and several other forces that work together to fight against Nahi and Impjap and have them killed. We have a few more characters here. Kaki, she has genes of Cruci, violent, hates new entrants who are not of their color and manners. Other characters on west side, we have Atom C. This Atom C is very powerful, innovative, and can cause massive destruction. And the child of this was what instrumental in bringing Wavi, that large conflict, to close. And there is one interesting character called Rindu, and this character is very big a child, very productive child of Cappy, but deficient of a rare vitamin that is found only in Crawley's place. Crawley is the person who gets inheritance from their ancient forefathers in Isley Gulfis family line, and that inheritance is buried under the ground, and Crawley controls that landscape. And Rindu, and then we have a few more problem children. Adisi is children with bad addictive habits, result of illicit wealth with lack of purpose. DCC, children of imbalanced living, greedy, unproductive, suffer and depletes Cappy's wealth. Holly is creative entertainer, artistic, and influential. With her siblings TV Mid and Globy, she entertains the entire state. Looney was born around the time to challenge Spataki with the commies. So Looney is the Usami's intelligent child who lands in Moon first and challenges Spataki. And TV Mid is also very influential. She works very closely with Holly and also with her brother Globy. And she's a born talker, broadcaster. She captures people in the entire state with her tantrums, thrilling negativity to forget the real purpose. At times she spreads rumors and gossips. Stocky is the child with a very finance savvy child, controls all Cappy's finances, and became more powerful with Globy. And Globy is the next generation person of Call MP. Globy is a far-reaching empire builder, less aggressive than Call MP, but more open, yet greedy. Assisted ably by Holly, Stocky, TV Med, and another brother Compy to achieve MP's dream, but in a less spectacular manner than his predecessors. And Globy basically controls many parts of the state, shown with this yellow arrows. So Softy, Manfi on the east side, and Mini on the far east side, all of them are under control of Globy. He has a very strong network to bring the entire state in his fold. Vespi is a child that's unique in this line. She is value oriented, health conscious, sincere, wants to understand Christie's diary's real meaning. And she ends up marrying Yogyan of Sindhu family, who happens to know the secret code technique. And thereby, from the west side, she is the only one knows the secret code. The other children, Jeannie, is very intelligent child has the genes of STEMI, and Jeannie also has partial decoding of secret code. And Biosenti is the latest generation of Genie. It's almost there to crack the secret code using STEMI's approach. And Campi is the very productive, intelligent, but small, and works on mind level or mental level, and marries person from Sindhu family by name Softy. Now we will see Judy's family. Judy Iser's family, they do not have any permanent place, as her family was in the turf fight between her stronger younger sisters, Christy and Isley families. They lived mostly in the west and mid-east side. As was indicated, Judy was older of the three cousin sisters, and she has an ancient line of forefathers with good manners, and has a diary in her possession that contains the secret code technique, but written in a convoluted manner passed down from her forefathers, multiple of them. She gets widowed at the time when Christie's father gets killed, and her husband Iser also dies. And from that time onwards, there is really no permanent place for them, and they get tossed around. Her characteristics: Judy is rigid, intelligent, and literal, good looking, and has similar manners to Christie, but due to that mishap, they both become hostile. Meiji is the first born. They get displaced by Isley's family after Isley gets married, and also gets haunted by Cruci. Second one is Yuji. They are also in the similar situation, who are in the west side, haunted by Inkui constantly. And if you follow this line, this dotted line of Judy, the subsequent, the major character is Yuji Jr. And those are in the west side who are haunted and killed cruelly by the tyrant Nahi. And from Yuji Jr., two sets of people, the Amji flees to the west side into Usami's land, and they get married to Holly, Starkey, and Adamsi in particular to have their influence. So Isji is the survivors who are supported by Amji and Usamis to resettle. However, they are surrounded by hostile neighbors of Isley's family. Now we'll quickly cover the Afri's family. Afri's family, they are a native family, and they live in a large landscape, but they are caught in between west and mid-east, between Christie and Isley's family. So their development is fairly curtailed due to that crossroad situation. The landscape is of rough climate, natural resource rich. However, no development because there is large desert area. And Afri is a early widow, hardworking, dark-skinned with native manners, unsophisticated, and she and her family lived fairly close to nature. The next family people is Afslavi, and they are basically enslaved by Kalempi. Most of them are taken to the Usami's radius landscape, and that we saw earlier in the west side. That leaves Afri's family with the child of Af Pavi. She's basically poor native people that are left depleted of natural resources after looting by enslavers. It also results in this Af Sivar. He's a violent, it's a group of children, Afri's family's children, control the left out resources from the previous generations. The last one in this line is Aparti, also very cruel. These are basically Kalempi settlers who control the native Afris people in their landscape, They are racially discriminatory, and their control ended fairly recently, thankfully, by the native leaders like Mandela, with support from good people outside of their landscape. We'll cover the Mid East next. Mid East region is hot, having rough weather, and that's the homeland for these three cousin sisters. But Isli is the only one remained, and she married the homeland person, Gulfi. And it has a large desert land as well. And they also have their ancestral property buried underground, and it is inherited or bequeathed to a future descendant of Gulfi. And Isli's characteristics, she is rigid, rustic, smart, literal, good looking, but veiled, and also has a diary of a secret code technique written in an obscure manner given to her by her father. She is the youngest of three cousin sisters, so she was ignored by her older sisters, and also has completely opposite nature to Christy. For example, if Christy writes from left to right, Isli does it from right to left. Now she gets married to Gulfi. Gulfi is a strong masculine guy, ambitious, cannot be suppressed, and he was ignored by the previous settlers in that region. And he bonds well with his people, very powerful. And Isli and Gulfi both have similar tendencies, and from start of their family, they had to defend their position, being the youngest in the overarching family, and also the hostility between Christy and Judy. The firstborn child is Calfee. He's an empire builder, and aggressive, ambitious, has constant fights with Cruci, and he also controls the possession of Isli's diary and rewrites it in a simple manner, but apparently loses its efficacy. The defends and also expands the Mid-East region, controls many people from Judy's family, Meiji, drive out the leftover people from the Middle East to the west side. The next important characters, Shimus and Sanmus, they are twin brothers, and they are fairly aggressive, and they divide Isli's family into two, and both of them control part of it. The pious child in this family is Sufi. She is a calm child, the only one who has really understood the secret code in this family line. The next important one is Mog, and he is a smart, arrogant, powerful, nomadic, and he took control of the nearby weekend Sindhu family. And Sindhu family has been attraction, and Mog relocates to Sindhu's southeast side and marries Sindhu's family people by force, and give birth and settles down in the southeast side itself. The next important character is the Crawley, one who is a precious child who inherits the ancestors' property that has a landscape with rich and rare vitamin that is required for the Capi's child Larindu that we have seen on the west side. So those two really creates a new generation of conflicts between Isli family and Capi's family. Now the people that control the wealth in Isli's family called Iskapi, and they are born with Crawley, and they have business relationship with Capi's people, aggravates the loyal Isli people who do not like that relationship. Now next one, Jihas, they are the one haters of Iskapi and Capi people, and also they do not like people with other manners and characteristics. They are completely similar to the Cruci and Inkui type in Isli's family. They want it their way. So they have fight with this G and also the Naras in the Sindhu family. And the next generation important one is the Istara. This is the most violent in this family, most cunning, cruel terrorists. In the name of Isli's diary, they perpetrate violence against innocents, against Capi, Globi, and Sindhu families. including their own at times. Now let's move to southeast side. The southeast side has temperate weather, rich with resources and fertile landscape. And the main characters Bharat and Sindhu, both of them harmonious couple, they seem to have been married forever. Their large family lives in the southeast side before three cousin sisters have grown up on the west side. Sindhu is a pious, wise, fair, loving woman with cultured manners, and she knows the secret code with the technique that was passed down orally from her ancestors. Her husband Bharat is a brown-skinned, good-looking masculine, hard-working guy, ethical values, wise and just. Seems like a perfect match. Their first-born child, like his parents, he's both wise and also teaches the whole family. And he compiles all the secret code techniques and divides them into two portions called the action and wisdom portion, and teaches the entire family. And right after Ved Yoga, two children are born. One is Jaini and Buchi. And Ved Yoga's action portion are not fully understood clearly, and with the misunderstanding, some of the family members started performing animal sacrifice, which was not really meant by Ved Yoga. And so that leads to birth of Jaini and Buchi. They create a separate branch lines, still living within the southeast side. They are more like a sub family lines. Most of the wisdom portion tally with them. However, the action portion and some of the methods that Jaini and Buchi created differ from Ved Yoga. And both of them redefined the secret code techniques to match their style. And Jaini's line and Buchi's line later get curtailed strongly by Advisa. We'll see when we cover that Advisa character. Gupti is the next child. He's a glorious leader of the family, just like his dad. Spread the family's reach to the entire southeast side and brought many into Sindhu's fold with the help of her illustrious sister Dharmi. And Dharmi is a wonder child, and she is also assists in Ved Yoga in teaching role, and she, like mom, has all good characteristics. She did one fabulous thing, that she integrated an individual's life journey in such a way that it helps to master the technique through the life process itself. So that's the ingenious creation of Dharmi, which made a lot of people really to learn the secret code technique fairly easily. And after that point, between Gupti and Dharmi's influence, the child that was born is Goldini. She is the cream of those two previous characters, and she was born during prosperous times, an artistic, creative, most beautiful child, developed literature, music, dance, drama, and thereby attracting neighboring families and also envy. The next two are most brilliant children, Advisa and a group of children called Dvibas. And Advisa is the brilliant, profound thinker who, following Ved Yogas and Dharmi's techniques, he enhanced further to empirically approach secret code and also removed all the inconsistencies. And he was responsible for thinning the branch lines earlier founded by Jaini and Buchi, and almost he sent Buchi line out of southeast side to east and far east side. The Dvibas is also a group of pious children with a devotional temperament, however, and they have developed a different technique, not Advisa's type. It's on the other end of the spectrum. And each one of them created their own variation to decipher the secret code. But unfortunately, due to machinations of the subsequent evil sisters Casti and Karmi, Dvibas's technique is not fully preserved and could be carried forward to future generations. Now that brings us to Casti and Karmi. Casti and Karmi are the evil sisters that are the ruiners of Sindhu family. So what Casti does is, Casti is a rigid, discriminatory person. She made all the Vedyog dharmis techniques of dividing individual level of consciousness into, they basically tied them to the birth line, thereby creating large divisions within the family. So each branch line gets divided into 4 major branches, and each of those sub branches gets subsequently divided into hundreds of smaller groups, creating thousands of groups, and thereby it weakened the family tremendously. And her twin sister Karmi is also a literal and also interprets the natural law called karma into something demonic. And she made people to be very fearful and regressive, not try anything new. With Casti, Karmi basically killed Dharmi's influence to the minimum. And there is only one small branch that's left out untainted by them that we will see later when we cover the latest generation. The next one is the Medin is the result of Casti's Karmi's handiwork, and that resulted into thousands of groups based on the 4 main divisions. They added based on language, locality, and style of cooking and everything, whatnot, name it, you will have the type, and call them castes, and became vulnerable for attacks and could not protect the large family. Isli's Moog that we saw earlier looted Medin's wealth, and the heads of these families, family groups are called as Zamis, and they had petty fights between themselves over pride and control of resources. Moog exploited the division, and he looked at divided family in the large southeast landscape and relocated into better pastures, and married many of the women of Medin Zami's family and gave birth to Urdin in southeast side. And it created a new branch that's away from Sindhu's family but still living in that same landscape. And they have different manners, not incompatible with Sindhu's. The next important one called Brindi, and this is a weakened, scattered large family that fell prey to Kalampi's desire, that's from West family line, who came under the guise of businessmen and further divided Brindi and conquered the whole family, including Ardin. And also with Prali's help, they created a new branch line called Inkri in southeast side, and started converting many people to Christie's ways. And the Brindis people also got fascinated by STEMI's ingenuity and the machines and tools that STEMI created, and started distancing from Dharmi's influence. So from that point onwards, Sindhu's family also have the education more of STEMI's or West Side education. Due to Kalampi's systematic looting, it impoverished the once rich Sindhu family into utter poverty, giving birth to Inpavi. Finally, with the group of loyal Sindhu children called Frigandi, who under the leadership of Gandhi used some of the Dharmis principles and successfully resisted Kalampi and pressed to take the control back in Sindhu's family. And Kalampi, being distracted by the tyrant Nahi and Imp Jap, relinquished the control to Frigandi. And during that relinquishing, the last gift that was given by Kalampi was this Ardpa, which is basically a group of Ardins who relocated into the west side of the southeast landscape, and they basically drove all the Sindhu people away from that west side land, creating a lot of displacement, looting, and atrocities. And during that time was born is a character called Naras, and he is a disciplined, loyal. He was opposed to Urdhpa's separation. He ends up defending Sindhu's family from attacks that comes from both Isli families like Jihas, Istara, and Inkri inside, and also Urdhpa. After Kalampi's departure, a group of leaders in Sindhu's family called Ne Second, they follow more secular principles, and they are more inclusive of Inkri and Urdin. So although of inclusiveness is good, they do not like their own dharmis principles and teachings, and they are infatuated with both Stemis ways, and also Kamasia, who came from Kami's family to east. They have affairs with Kamasia that gives rise to a child called Staplan. Staplan is basically centralized planning every 5 years for family finances planning and development. And that led to the group of leaders called Karupali. And they are basically inside looters, very corrupt, and who succeeded after most of the Frigandis people and their ideals died out. And Bali is the Sindhu's clone of Hali, and she is the entertainer of the whole Sindhu family, and also expand her influence as Globi collapses the boundaries. Bali's influence reaches to east side as well. The Dispari is also another bad child born from that era, and discriminating based on money power, has genes of Casti and Karmi, and very greedy and flirts with outsiders, especially Capis descendants. Inconfu is the generation with confused values from the cross currents of Sindhu's family and the Stemis teachings, and not aware of Sindhu's glorious past. Now there is an interesting character here called Yogyan. He is the wise man in the family, unaffected by Casti Karmi's line. He basically is born out of the family thin line that was left over from Vedyog, Dharmi, and Advisa. And Yogyan ingenuity is he revives the techniques for the secret code that was originally understood and as devised by Vedyog, Dharmi, and Advisa. Marries the Vespi on the west side. Yogyan teaches the willing people, whoever is in the Globi's reach, Yogyan is able to teach them, both in Sindhis families and also outsiders. Latest in this family is Softy, smart, adaptive, young child, workaholic, got rich by marrying the influential Kampi on the west side, and infused new life into financially starving Sindhu family. The east side, mostly north side, is made up of very rough cold weather, mountainous, have resources hard to reach, and have a large landscape. It starts with Taochi, Confuci, and Empchin were three siblings. And Taochi lived in harmony with nature, knows a secret code technique that's hard to practice or teach. So those techniques had to be practiced, cannot be really taught due to paradoxes. And Confuci is a pious, wise, fair, loving woman with cultured manners. Not clear if she knew the secret code, as she did not make any records. Empchin is the younger brother, yellow-colored, squint-eyed, short, strong, and aloof. And he gets married to the fleeing Buchi from the Sindhu side for her wisdom, beauty, and culture, and created a large, fairly self-contained family, but unknown outside of their area due to enclosed mountainous region. The Mangyamp is the first character who comes from the north side, who takes control of the Buchi and Empchin's family. So fought with Far East Samuja constantly. So between East and Far East there is always that enmity starting from that time. Mangyamp briefly made inroads to southeast and mid-east sides as well, but could not maintain control over that. Mangyamp adapted most of the Buchi's culture, but did not care much about the sacred secret code or its technique. So that basically loses the value in the most of the Empchin family, except one small thin line we'll see later in the last generation. The next character is Med King, is somewhat divided, where people who take care of the finances and the control or governing do not interact with most of the family members. That creates some sort of a class feudalism within the family, and due to the weakening of the large population, they fall victim to Kalampi, and Samuja also takes control of parts of east with their military strength. So the next character is Last Emp, weakened head of the family due to starvation and lack of proper governance and widespread internal feuds, and loses control, and that leads to Shikiwari. Is the disparate groups of family members control different parts of the large landscape and fought for full control among themselves. And due to external factors and the Kalampi's divisions, they were about to implode the family into several smaller pieces. There is a group of powerful leader led by Ma Zedong called Chikam was born. They got attracted, and the powerful leader married Kameshia, who came from Kami's family to the east side, and gave birth to several future generations, Kronstadt and Manfi. And during that marriage, with there is one more important character called Bu Tibet, who's a tiny little pious child who knew the secret code technique learned from Buchi, having that thin line continued on. But due to the majority of the family was in upheaval, they were targets of reverse discrimination, mainly due to agnostic Kameshia, basically drove Bu Tibet into exile and came to southeast side for support. And they are largely left alone, and their influence is not there in the east side, and they are thriving with the help of some of the Capis people, Holly especially, and Globy. Going back to Shikam character, they united the main parts of the family from the previous generation Shikiwari groups of leaders, and united under single fold, and that was the major life-saving event for that family. And they promised to give opportunities to common peasants and equalize the disparity that existed in the family. They took measures to heal badly wounded family by Imjab's atrocities. We'll see when we cover the Far East. And the Chikam gave birth to Kronstadt. Kronstadt is a strong Chikam's child, centrally governing and controlling, and started distancing from his uncle Lelin. And he got support from Usami's leader, notably Richard Nixon, for opening up business relationship with Usamis. And that Kronstadt and propelled the family into a powerful force in the entire state. And that gave birth to a very productive child, Manfi, that produced almost all the items that are required for the west side and also for others in the state. With Kronstadt, now he challenges the might of Usamis and holds part of the control of Stocky and Usamis real estate. Chikam influence and Kameshia's influence gave birth to another problem child called Nokoko. He occupies a part of east landscape. He's an arrogant problem child who controls small part of the family, has an affair with Tyra, and is terrorizing the whole region, and also Capi's family. The last one is Far East. This is a small island on the Far East side with cold weather, have limited resources. It starts with the characters Japemp. It's a tiny yellow colored, very powerful, skillful, aggressive, depends on the east landscape for their resources. Buchi's daughter Buzen, who knows the secret code like her mom, she's also pious, artistic, fair and loving woman with cultured manners. And this Buzen technique also is somewhat a slight variation from Buchi, and it has more influence of this Tao Chi from east side. Japam gets married to Buzan and start having the family. Samuja, next important character, and he is powerful, aggressive child, skillful in martial arts, started fights with the east side Mangemp, started controlling parts of the east side that are closer to far east, and focusing on the martial arts and fights, did not care much about Buzan's secret code, and that makes them lose the secret code propagation to the future generation. Shogun is the next important character and self-contained aloof leader who remained mostly unaffected by Kalampi's reach. That gave birth to Imp Jap, is a most problematic child in this family and whole state, in fact. An aggressive demonic child committed lot of atrocities in the neighboring east side, buddied with Nahi and became a reason for statewide conflict. Wavi fights with Usamis, finally got killed with the powerful Atom Bee. She is the ultimate demonic child of Cappy's Atom Sea, used to create mass destruction, and Usamis sent her to kill Imp Jap to end the statewide conflict. Wavi, a creation of Nahi. After a period of quiet after the storm, with the help of Stemi and Usamis to rebuild that area, Haiteki was born. And Haiteki is a progressive child, systematic, intelligent child, grew up to create many useful innovative tools that are required for Cappy and Campi in particular, help to normalize relations with other families. The last one in this Minnie is a tiny, very sophisticated, productive child of Haiteki. She gets controlled by Globy. So this concludes the description of characters in this open secret state. Hope the story was both informational at the same time enjoyable. If you are watching this video in parts, you can find the other parts of the story and also more about secret code and its techniques at YouTube PhD Shiva channel. Your feedback and comments are welcome. If you have any specific questions, please write email, or you can join Atmarashtra Facebook group. It is open for public. Thanks for watching.